I am juiced to the moose today. Whatever that means. I just made a new statement. What is going on, everyone? Happy Thursday and welcome back to Sin City Crypto Live. My name is David. I'll be one of your co-hosts. And today, like every day, we're coming at you live from FTX Central here in Las Vegas, Nevada with our daily live show. Big stuff to talk about today. Of course, we're going to keep you updated on FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, and why we think he's for sure going to jail. We're talking federal crimes. We're going to cover his weird Twitter DM interview and what he said that could be possibly incriminating. We're going to talk about that and much, much more. But before we can talk about that and much, much more, I'd like to introduce you other co-host, Big Rob. What's up?
Hola, it's your boy Big Rob back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're an entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel where we take the old, the boring, the stale information and package it up in a fun and sexy way. Also, here at Sin City Crypto, we discuss the price of Bitcoin, which is still at the same spot it was yesterday and all throughout the week at
Bitcoin's getting ready for a move.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, I think it's not going to move.
No,
I think until the Fed meeting or until another big collapse of a large centralized entity,
it literally has to.
I think at this point there's so much fear in the market. People are scared to pile in, or they're just thinking that the price is going to drop lower, and so they'll buy lower. And at the same time, you have institutions getting liquidated. And so,
Robin, the candles say you're lying because the candles and the patterns, why do I look so white? The candles and patterns are telling us that Bitcoin is getting ready for a move. And the move is probably to the downside.
Only candles that are in season right now is
pumpkin spice candles.
Is the, Yankee candles?
Like
Bed Bath & Beyond candles?
Like the button candles.
Look, man, I want an early Christmas present. You know what it is? I want 1,000 viewers. I want 1,000 likes. I want yeah, that's it.
But what about your birthday? What do you want for your birthday?
Hey, it is my birthday.
2 weeks.
Yeah, on 29th.
When's my birthday, Robin?
We actually have a pretty big guest on my birthday.
Answer the question. When's my birthday? You know my birthday?
I have no idea.
You see, this is the difference between being a good friend and a bad friend. I know his birthday is November 29th. Does he know my birthday? No.
What is my shoe size? See?
5 and
not a friend.
All right, let's get into this. We're going to start here. And so if we got to remember, right? We're in this crypto bubble. We follow this stuff every day. If you're watching our show, you follow stuff every day. You read articles from crypto credible sources, right? Very rarely do we step outside of our own box. So I decided to step outside of our box yesterday. And I watched a couple interviews. I watched something on Cold Fusion TV where they did a piece on the FTX drama. And I decided to look up, what are some of the headlines across more mainstream media like New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Forbes, blah, blah, blah. Like, what is their perception of what is going on? And so I'm just going to share a couple of headlines. And I'm going to go over these are just the headlines, okay? So this is from the New York Times. The headline reads, "Who bears blame for FTX's failure?" Okay, that's headline number one. This is from ABC. Their headline said, "FTX bankruptcy also endangers founders' philanthropic gifts." This next one is from NBC. New FTX CEO details complete failure of corporate controls at crypto platform. Nothing about fraud, nothing about what he was doing illegally, nothing about customer funds, right? Here's one from Barron's. FTX had complete failure of controls. Same thing. And this one is from The Street. Incompetent or crook? Incompetent or crook? And then finally, the Wall Street Journal says, FTX new CEO faults lacks oversight in bankruptcy filing. Are you surprised, Rob, that this is the narrative that's being pushed in mainstream media? Because we can agree that if there was actual journalism going on,
this is what I'll say. I think that the FTX is outside of the scope of a lot of traditional media. They're not deep into crypto. They don't have go-to sources they can just quickly dial up that are in our space every single day. So if you're going to put out a piece, a damning piece that is where you accuse and you're basically calling somebody out for illegal activity, ethics, morals, if you're going to try to attack somebody's character, whether or not they deserve it or not, you got to have the facts backed up behind it. And maybe they just don't have the resources in place at the moment to put those articles out the second the news breaks. You can cover the headline article, hey, FTX went under, Alameda went under, but I don't think that CNBC, I don't think that Fox really has an understanding of the inner workings behind the scenes and all of the interconnected associations between all these big
Robin,
players.
come on, dude.
Now, I'm not saying,
bro,
but here's the
you're
thing.
telling me they can't reach out to someone. They can't do a little more digging. I mean, come on, dude.
Okay, but here's the thing.
There's so many people talking.
They could. That's what I'm saying. They could.
So why are they not?
Okay. First of all, they're traditional media. They probably don't even care. They probably are just like, yo, can we just cover this FTX thing? What do we got?
Bro, this is literally the biggest news possibly of the entire year. I mean,
for us, you gotta zoom out, man.
You want to talk about?
I'm sorry, you gotta zoom out. The outside of our crypto bubble, honestly, FTX is big. But I mean, Russia, oil,
$40
elections,
billion company, Robin.
No, we are not front and center. Like we're in a bubble. What happens when we go do our street interviews, man? You see how it is, man. People only even know the word Bitcoin. And outside of FTX going under, they don't know, nobody knows who Alameda Research is. Most people don't even know who Sam Bankman-Fried is outside of our space. And so to sit here and put tons of resources into a topic of that your baseline viewers aren't connected to, I just from a straight business standpoint, it would be like us covering a businessman that is running some real estate empire and how there's fraud in that, and like we're not gonna go deep into it. It's not our lane, bro.
Why? Okay, but what? Okay, do you not agree that this story?
It's huge.
It's huge.
But the viewers that are watching CNBC don't care about crypto, bro.
This story has everything anyone would ever want.
For a Netflix documentary, for a day-to-day news story, I'm sorry, man. Okay, does your mom and dad, would they watch? Would your family, would Gam, would they watch an hour of CNN? Would they watch an hour of CNN about Sam Bankman-Fried?
Robin, if the
does your mom even know who Sam Bankman-Fried is?
Robin, if the headlines were properly formed and it grabs people's attention.
Okay, you can thumbnail all you want. You can thumbnail all you want, bro. You can put front and center all you want. You can headline. But if you go in an hour conversation about crypto to a fucking viewer base that don't care about crypto, then it's pointless, bro.
It's not,
You're running a business,
this is
bro.
more than just crypto, dude. This is like everything anyone could.
What else is it?
Drugs, a sex ring, defrauding people.
Bro, that's a documentary, bro. You're literally listing out a documentary. Did CNN cover Tiger King? Did CNN cover?
Yeah, they did. CNN covered Tiger King
before it came out. Before the Netflix documentary, did you hear front and center Tiger King, this giant conspiracy to sell cats?
But Tiger King wasn't a publicly traded or a public platform. That's what I'm saying, man.
You're asking why CNN and Fox isn't covering crypto nonstop, top to bottom.
That's not what
Their
I'm
viewers
saying.
don't care about
Robin,
it.
That's not what I'm saying.
That's literally what you're saying.
What is with these fluff headlines? Like, oh, his gifts are gonna stop. What? Out of everything going on, that's what you're going to focus on? Like, you pay your journalists hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. You can't tell me these guys can't go out and grab an interview with CZ, grab an interview with anyone?
I'm saying that the viewers don't care. They're not going to pump tons of research and money into pulling out a story that their viewers don't watch. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not a story. I'm just saying in their lane, they got traditional freaking investors. They got guy on the couch that doesn't even know anything outside of crypto besides the word Bitcoin. And Like, they're not gonna spend their marketing budget on that. They're gonna spend their money. They're gonna do deep investigations when it comes to Ukraine, when it comes to the election, when it comes to energy, to inflation. Like, but these are the topics that their
for
viewers.
the election too, though.
Okay, what do you want them to do? You want CNN to cover crypto nonstop for a viewer that doesn't care about it?
Now we're going off top. Now we're going in separate directions. Now we're going to say all I'm saying, bro, and I'm going to end it at this. I don't want to waste too much time. Is out of everything that's going on within FTX, the headlines we're seeing across mainstream media is asinine. That's all I'm saying.
So. I it's mainstream's is not painting Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX as a corrupt industry that is out to steal money and ruin reputations. And I get it, but they're a news agency. These people are covering news. You have a collapse of a giant company, FTX, and that's what it is, man. They're not gonna do deep dive into a subject that their viewers don't care about.
All right. Well, we care about it, so we're gonna cover it. All right. So we do have
a question though. We were, speaking of covering it, we were kind of in discussion earlier about oversaturation of the FTX as a subject. So I want to know where our viewers lined up with this. Are you guys tired? Okay, if you want us to be the go-to SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried source of information, you want us to keep covering this every day, 90% of the show, 80% of the show, and I'm not saying like every day for the next year. I'm not saying that, but within the next couple of weeks, is this something you guys are enjoying? Put a 1 in the chat if you like the SBF coverage, if you like the FTX coverage, if you want more of it, or if you're kind of tired of hearing about this, you're getting a little like, man, can we talk about something else? Put a 2 in the chat. I want to know what you guys think.
Yeah, it's a good question. Let's make a poll, Rocco.
Well, let's do the 1 and 2.
We don't want people to forget new people come in.
Also, tell the new people why you guys were fighting.
Why were we fighting?
Yeah,
this is what we do,
many
guys.
people don't know what
I want you guys to understand something, okay? Nothing we do on the show is ever pre-planned. The entire reason Robin and I decided to start a channel, we were never best friends, right? We worked together. And the entire reason is because we always went back and forth about stuff with crypto. In little text message threads we have with our friends, we would always disagree with each other. So that's the basis of our show. You're getting 2 different points of view. And sometimes he just doesn't understand my point of view, so I have to explain it to him in a very loud way.
It's because your point of view is terrible.
It's not terrible. It's terrible in your eyes.
Absolutely horrible.
And what happens most of the time is when I feel like we're start going this way, where he's talking about something different than I am, then we just stop because at that point there's no value.
I'm in the middle, so I'm at the referee.
And Rocco is more on Robin's side, obviously, because Robin pays him off.
Not true.
Yeah, we're going to do a full in-depth research into how much Robin has been paying Rocco off to cover his side this entire time.
You can go. There is no Bahamas, anything like that.
No Bahamas, no penthouse. Okay. All right. Let's. So while Rocco, you want to create that poll, my friend, and I'll start with the content here. All right. So we're gonna give you guys up to date on what's going on with FTX. This weird Vox interview via Twitter DMs, racketeering charges coming. We're gonna talk about what BitBoy's, what his guest was talking about on his show yesterday, and what the hell Alameda was doing. We're also going to talk about Genesis, and there's a good Twitter thread as to why Genesis is so important to the crypto space and what them going under could possibly mean. And then we're also going to talk about Voyager. Looks like Binance trying to get back in. So lots to cover today, so let's just get right into it. So we're going to start with FTX. Their bankruptcy filings highlight complete failure of corporate controls. Bankruptcy filing called out SBF and the rest of the failed crypto exchange leadership for complete failure of corporate controls. The company's bankruptcy lawyers argue that Sam is actively trying to disrupt the bankruptcy process for the myriad of corporate entities that fall under the FTX umbrella. Their bankruptcy lawyers have filed an emergency petition to move the Chapter 15 bankruptcy proceeding in the Bahamas. If granted, the move would help consolidate the myriad of bankruptcies into one U.S. court. This is a quote from Adam Landis, who's a partner at one of the law firms. In terms of the celebrity of Mr. Bankman-Fried, his unconventional leadership style, his incessant and disruptive tweeting since the petition date, and the almost complete lack of dependable corporate records, these Chapter 11 cases are unprecedented. Unprecedented. So, there's news. They're trying to extradite him over here into the U.S. to get questioned. We'll see how that turns out. But this is from the court document, okay? I have over 40 years of legal and restructuring experience. It's from John Ray, the guy who's overseeing the bankruptcy proceedings for FTX. I have been the chief restructuring officer or CEO in several of the largest corporate failures in history. I have supervised situations involving allegations of criminal activity and malfeasance. And he goes to say Enron. I have supervised situations involving novel financial structures and cross-border asset recovery and maximization. Nearly every situation in which I've been involved has been characterized by defects of some sort in internal controls, regulatory compliance, human resources, and systems integrity. Never in my career have I seen such a complete failure of corporate controls and such a complete absence of trustworthy financial information as occurred here. From compromised systems integrity and faulty regulatory oversight abroad to the concentration of control in the hands of a very small group of inexperienced, unsophisticated, and potentially compromised individuals, this situation is unprecedented. Unprecedented. Robin, I want to get your take on this, man. And I'll kind of leave it more general.
I mean, Enron, they made movies after Enron, man. I mean, they're going to make a movie. You know what? I think they're going to make a docu-series about this whole fiasco, right?
100%.
Don't you think it's larger than a movie at this point?
They're going to be dying. They're going to be throwing millions of dollars for the rights to make this movie.
But you don't even need the rights. You can cover it.
Well, however that works.
Yeah,
right?
no, you had like 3 Fyre Fest documentaries.
Yes.
And so I'm sure there's going to be multiple different companies making content for this. But Enron, they had movies. There was also several documentaries. There's going to be several things covering this. But I think that probably if you were to fast forward 2 years, I think the most popular content of this is going to be in a documentary series. I mean, it's just so much to unpack. You know what? Speaking of unpacking, a lot of people put 2s in the chat, more than 1s. So
they're tired of it.
I think people are getting a little exhausted on this coverage.
Okay.
What we'll do is we're going to still cover. And we were kind of game planning this anyways. We're going to cover the FTX headlines when they come out, but we're not going to have it dominate the entire show. And so we'll cover.
Yeah, we get the pool running, so we can see in a bit when we have a little more people on it.
So we're gonna kind of try to mix it up, and so not have it be an FTX channel. But anyways, this guy oversaw Enron's demise, man. And if you guys don't know anything about Enron, go take a look at it. And the funny thing is that Enron, that company, they were supposed to be auditors. It's a little more complicated than that. But they were supposed to be the guys that prevented a lot of what happened. And lo and behold, they are the ones that took advantage of the system. A lot of times, the admins are the most corrupt people at the top. Anyways. Yeah, I was kind of going through all the details. There's a lot going on, man. First of all the money's gone, and there's no trace of it.
They're saying the assets are worth $659,000, bro.
Yeah, whatever assets were there, whatever had value, it's gone. And then on top of that, you also have the personal loan by Sam. Are we going to cover that in a little bit?
Hell yeah, we're going to cover
so Sam Bankman-Fried was also using Alameda Research as a bank. And so he was getting money out for his own personal loan. Dude had a $35 million mansion. That's on the thumbnail, by the way. If you're wondering what that background is, that little like fluorescent blue, that's I think it's like 20 bedrooms, like this giant mega mansion. And then his compound that he had, FTX and Alameda Research and a lot of other companies.
Here, since you brought it up, Robin, here you go.
Look at that. Oh, $40 million.
Yeah.
So pretty, and the funny thing is that CNBC had an article, had a get to know Sam Bankman-Fried interview. and he points to was it a Toyota Corolla? What was it?
Yeah, Toyota Corolla.
He's like, that's what I drive. And he's like walking around in flip flops. He's like, yeah, I don't spend money on shoes or clothing.
Was that Nas Daily on YouTube?
It's like, bro, like it's so far from the truth.
This
dude literally was buying not one mansion, but houses. He has a string of properties that he was buying. He has exotic cars. He has all of this lavish lifestyle. And yet, up until about a month ago, everybody over here is looking at this piece done by NBC about like how this dude is living way below his means. And you know what's funny? He's like, oh, I share a house with 10 people to save money. You share a $40 million house.
It's a house.
It's like, yes, you share a house with 10 people. You're right, you do. But you also share a compound, the freaking playground of rich people.
Yeah, probably never see each other inside the house. It's so big.
It's like, it's
Hey, how are you,
man?
Good to see you. It's
like
been a while.
they all have their own house in the
anyways, I don't really know how to answer your question. Besides, not surprised. This guy uncovered just the worst run company ever as far as ethics and accountability. And yeah, not surprised. I mean, did you expect something different? Did you expect them to come in and be like, ooh, you know what? They had it buttoned up pretty good. They just had one mistake. Like that wasn't going to happen, right?
Yeah. All right. So
And then, let me give some love to the chat as well. I know we get a little jumped carried away around here, but we do have some new people up in here. We got Tyler Wood, the Force at 123. We also have Barno McBarno, Nate Dogg, L Wright, Kelly Slade, Ronald W, Cache Cats, Buzz, Pat Murphy, the Force. Already said that. MMA fan, Tony C, Crypto Baby, Drixty, Nostros, OT. Relaba, Burnt, Overcome, and Blockchain Report, Black Eye Child. Hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. And Ultimo, Mayo, and AA Ron, 24 Baby Bull. How you doing?
Okay. Well, thank you for that cringe name calling.
I try my best.
Well, maybe your best isn't good enough. So this next piece of news, SBF, FTX, and Alameda were accused of conspiracy, racketeering, and market manipulation 3 years before FTX collapsed. After FTX launched in 2019 and following the release of the exchange token FTT, FTX and Alameda faced a lawsuit that was filed on November 2nd of 2019 that accused the companies and executives of engaging in racketeering practices and crypto market manipulation. The lawsuit accused FTX, Alameda, SBF, Gary Wang, Andy Krogan, Constance Wang, Darren Wong, Caroline Ellison of engaging in breaking racketeering laws and aiding and abetting price manipulation. Interestingly, the lawsuit says that FTX was allowed to thrive thanks to Alameda's unlicensed over-the-counter money transmitting business. The lawsuit alleged that the racketeering activity exceeded $150 million, which were misappropriated from numerous crypto traders. SBF changed his residence location on online profiles from Berkeley, California to Hong Kong after the incident occurred in September of 2019. The lawsuit also accuses FTX and Alameda of being a singular entity rather than two separate companies. And this is, if you guys remember, CZ tweeted this a while ago. A market maker from a smaller futures exchange tried to attack Binance Futures platform. No one was liquidated as we used the index price, not the futures price for liquidation. And he followed up by saying the attacker is a well-known account that trades with Binance and started their own futures exchange a few months ago on September 15th. In 2019, this is the second attempt they tried. And so, obviously we didn't have a platform back in 2019. And I'm not saying we for sure would have covered this, but how did no one sniff this out? Or did they sniff it out and we just decided as a community to say, oh, no,
well, I was interested. I was watching that interview with New Genesis.
The New Genesis CEO.
Yeah, and so he was saying that he was in talks with the SEC, giving them information like,
and they wouldn't even get back to him.
Look, FTX isn't who you think they are. Here's some info. Even Siri doesn't understand.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so, Here's
That
the
was
thing,
money.
like
That
they kept trying to give info to the SEC. And it's funny because the SEC was going after Kim Kardashian, was going after other celebrities, library, the XRP thing to protect the users, right? To protect the consumer, protect me and you. That's who he was trying to protect.
They're not protecting anyone but
And
themselves.
lo and behold, they're getting info from the inside before any of this broke about shady practices, fraud, manipulation, like everything that the SEC is supposed to regulate. Let's just think about it. What is the SEC's job, right? Ultimately, like, not talking about listing new. I'm not talking about listing new stocks and ETFs. I'm talking about at its core value. The SEC is supposed to stop fraud and manipulation, right? So insider trading, like market manipulation through the makers, and divulging information this way, transparency, regulatory compliance, all of this stuff is to essentially say like, hey, this company is operating how it's supposed to. But instead, in the crypto space, they're going after these new startups that aren't anybody. Library is not. Why are you wasting your resources on a project that is literally number 700 on the CoinMarketCap list that nobody knows? And yet you're given a basket of information about one of the biggest frauds and conspiracy and racketeering like it's ever crossed anybody's desk. And you're just like, what's Kim Kardashian tweeting lately? Like what are y'all doing, man? It's just like, and
It's a joke, bro.
Fact that SBF had donated so much money to the politicians on both sides of the aisle, but primarily the Democrats, who also happen to put
his co-CEO is the one who donated to the Republicans.
Yeah,
he was the Democrat.
Wait, here's also I think they donated to Republicans because they knew there was going to be a shift in office.
They're hedging their bet.
Yeah, yeah. So, but before in the last election, when it was clear that the Democrats were gonna take power when it came to decision making, they backed them. And then once this whole like red wave was coming, all of a sudden, anyways, they're just hedging the bet, which I don't blame them.
I want to highlight that chat real quick, Rocco. The one you got there you go. Christopher said it's an unregulated Ponzi scheme and not anything to do with the SEC. Dude, FTX had to go get licenses to operate in the US. So they are regulated. There's certain things they had to do to be able to set up shop here.
And the crazy thing is that he had multiple meetings with the head chairman, Gary Gensler of the SEC, multiple meetings. And so the person Sleepy Joe, President Joe Biden, he appointed Gary Gensler to his seat. The second biggest donor to presidential candidate as far as campaign contributions came from Sam Bankman-Fried. And yet the information on Sam Bankman-Fried comes across Gary Gensler's desk. Maybe he didn't see it personally, but into his office. And yet no follow-up. And why do you think that is? You think it happens to be the fact that the boss, Gary Gensler's boss,
guys, like
got elected or got got tons of money to get into this position? You think that's just a coincidence?
Guys, like I say this all the time, break it down to its most fundamental level, right? Take crypto out of it. Just think logically, think realistically, right? Why, what incentive, and what benefits come out of it, right? You have the ties of Caroline Ellison's dad being Gary Gensler's boss at MIT. You have the whole donation thing, right? And so, like, all of that combined, we can't just brush it off and say, oh, no. I don't buy that, dude. I don't buy that. That's just a coincidence. Came across their desk. They get tons of stuff that come across their desk. They can't see everything. The second largest exchange in the entire world, one of the largest in the United States of America, a $50 billion conglomerate, and you get You get credible information and evidence on your desk, and you decide to go look into Kim Kardashian. That's all we're saying, man, is
It was also
it's frustrating.
There was a tweet from Library. Let me put my face on here. It was the last tweet from Library. It says that pretty much one part of the settlement required the SEC required that they stop to talk about the SEC case. That's one part. So they pretty much
Hold on. So Library has to stop talking about the SEC case.
Whatever the case that it just been on it. So I don't understand. Not only they sue them and then make a close shop, and then you gotta stop to talk about it.
It's a joke, man. It's a joke, guys. Look, we know more regulation is gonna come, right? And we actually have an interview from none other than our own crypto mom, Hester Pierce, and just. This woman is so well put together and her thoughts are so thought out, and she doesn't just jump at every little thing. And we'll show that here.
I want to know. I want to know what the chat thinks, guys. You right there, the person right here. You,
me.
What do you think? Not you.
Talking to me.
Not you.
Talking to
and
me.
not you, Rocco.
Bro?
But what do you think?
I thought you were.
You think this is a inner working grand conspiracy that involves the SEC? Do you think the SEC knew of fraud and ignored it because of political influence? Put a 1 in the chat if you think there's fraud from the highest level. Put a 2 in the chat if you think the SEC just has their hands full and they really didn't care, because I think that's actually pretty plausible too. I think the SEC might have just been like, you know what, we got Library, we got XRP, Sam Bankman-Fried, he's cool in our book. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they had no idea and they just decided to ignore it. So if you think it's just too busy SEC to notice, put a 2 in the chat. Or if you think the fraud starts from the top, put a 1 in the chat. I want to know what you guys think.
Speaking of SEC,
I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of 1s.
I got
a feeling there's going to be a lot of 1s. Ooh.
Yeah, go ahead and throw your vote in. Speaking of SEC, since we're already on the topic, let's go ahead and show the interview with...
Not even 1, 2.
No, there was the first one. It was a 2.
Was it?
Yeah, there was a 2. Let's see.
What was 2 again?
Supreme says 2.
What was 2?
2 is that the SEC was probably just a little too busy or ignorant, and not to say that they turned a blind eye, but they were just so overwhelmed with their schedule that they didn't notice.
And by the way, guys, and
I think that's possible. I mean, I could see it. I don't believe it, but I could see that the SEC has a ton of cases and all kinds of things on their plate, and they're just like, you know what?
By the way, I want you guys to know that are new in our community. We do, our community disagrees all the time, so don't ever feel like you can't voice your opinion in a respectful way.
Yeah, you don't have to. You don't have to.
Yeah,
agree
you don't have to agree with
the
Matt. Yeah, so if that's what you think, man, that's totally fine.
Crypto Music says 1.5. He's somewhere between.
It's okay. I like it.
I like that.
All right. So Hester Pierce, let's go ahead and show her interview, and we'll keep ourselves on there, and we might stop. It's 7 minutes long. Not sure if we're going to show the whole thing, but we'll definitely stop it and give our input along the way. All right.
The contagion from FTX, the crypto exchange that has collapsed, has spread all the way from the Bahamas to Hollywood's A-listers. Crypto investors at this hour have slapped FTX's former team of celebrity endorsers with a lawsuit for promoting the platform. And the names included in the suit: Tom Brady, Gisele Bündchen, Larry David, Steph Curry, Shaquille O'Neal, and tennis star Naomi Osaka.
Okay, who'd you rather meet, Shaquille O'Neal or Tom Brady?
Shaq all day long.
Really?
Shaq was a beast.
I don't know, man. I feel like
Brady. I feel like he's weird. He kisses his 10-year-old son on the mouth.
I feel like me and Brady would go to the park and throw the football back and forth,
and then he'll kiss you right on the mouth. Okay, no, just real quick, Robin, and we'll get back to the video.
Yeah.
Do you think this class action lawsuit against these?
It's stupid.
It's not going to.
We talked about this yesterday.
So it's not no legs. It's not.
No legs. No.
Has also spread to yet another crypto platform, as Genesis Global Capital announced today it has suspended redemptions and loans as a result of, quote, unprecedented market turmoil created by the fall of FTX. Genesis could reportedly snag a lifeline from the founder and CEO of the world's largest crypto exchange, Binance's Changpeng Zhao. That, according to Blockworks. digital currencies and work tirelessly.
By the way, we're going to cover Genesis. We covered it yesterday, but we're going to cover why it is so important to the crypto space and what it means, their downfall, what it can mean. So here's Hester Pierce. If you're not familiar with her, she is the commissioner of the SEC. So essentially the number 2 to Gary Gensler.
Tirelessly to bring legitimacy to the crypto world, Securities and Exchange Commissioner Hester Peirce. Commissioner, welcome.
Hester Peirce?
At the top of all of this, what is your take? Knowing what you know and having read the headlines and done whatever research you are able to do, what is your take on the FTX implosion and what happened?
Well, thanks for having me. And without speaking specifically about the incident, just to say generally, when you see problems happen at centralized intermediaries, it is what makes some people say there must be a better way, and they look for a peer-to-peer kind of arrangement where there aren't centralized intermediaries. But when you do have large intermediaries like this, I think a lot of what people also ask is, should there be a regulatory framework around those centralized intermediaries? And I think that's a conversation we'll be having in Washington in the coming months.
Well, months, or should it be weeks? Because while we do know that FTX was domiciled in the Bahamas, and there are all kinds of questions about that because maybe they were more lax, certainly, about any kind of guardrails that they should have been putting in. People are looking at what's happening here, whether it's with Genesis or whether it's with the fall of cryptocurrencies at the moment. And you can see the big drop off here over the past month, right when FTX collapsed. Bitcoin also lost several $1,000s. Do you feel that this is really urgent now?
Well, I don't think that regulatory policy should be driven by prices in crypto. I think there are really important questions that we have to wrestle with, and we don't want to do.
Do you agree with that narrative, Robin? Right? You hear this whole crypto's so volatile, right? They all just look at prices and then they tie that back into regulation.
Regulation. Let's get it right the first time. Because remember, when they put regulation in, it's hard to take out if ever possible. I mean, you had the bit license in New York that dropped. It's been around for 6 years now, I think it is. And there's talks of them getting it out of there. There's the mayor of New York doesn't like it. And yet there's been no progress in removing that. And so let's get it right the first time. You know what? We're in the middle of a bear market anyways. It's not like the regulation is going to save this industry right now. I mean, there's so much uncertainty. Like, I'm not saying put it on the back burner like everything else they do in Congress, but let's keep it an open, active discussion. Let's come to an agreement. Let's bring all the parties to the table, both the developers, the institutions, the different branches of government, bring traditional finance in there, bring in the central bank. Like, let's sit down. Let's talk about what is the best path for moving forward that's fair.
Who should get a seat at that table, Robin?
Like I said, like I just said, you should put everybody. You should have crypto experts. You should have people from traditional finance, and also from why we got the roll call up there. so you got traditional finance, you got policymakers in traditional finance, and then you also have representation, both from the exchanges. I'd like to, the normal players that have been testifying in Congress, I think should have a seat at the table. Charles Hoskinson.
You should have some devs in there who
chain
understand the technology.
Analysis is there. Some of the stable coins, the exchanges as well. And yeah, let's keep an open discussion. And let's find middle ground that everybody's happy with. I mean, at the end of the day, regulation's coming whether you want to or not. So even if you're against regulation, let's sit down and talk about one that works with the business model that doesn't stifle innovation. And there's no need to rush it at this point. But at the same time, it needs to get done. We've been dragging our feet for the longest time. Other countries are way ahead of us. So it should be a priority. But at the same time, let's not lose the vision here of what we're trying to do is to be a leader in this space, not to stifle innovation, but to help support this industry and help it grow. So,
very well said.
What we got, a super chat over there or something?
1,000 CLP said, "Not going to jail, you normies."
And then I am say. say hello, everybody, in the chat if you're new here, so I can drop an hola. You know what? I'll just go ahead real quick since we're in an intermission here on this video. I got Dean, Luis F, Grateful Dad, Zarja, Bujus, Eddie Ocean, X Veg, Justin Kraft, RD27, OMG Pushup, O Treba, and then you got ADHD Engineering, Scott K, Pelagic, Mitch Saw, and Watcher. Hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. All right, let's get back to it.
Let's get back to Hester. Rocco,
Okay.
bring my girl Hester on the screen.
Bam.
Hester. Let's see what she has to say. And they asked her about the rumors, or not the rumors, of what Gary Gensler's connection with SBF and the Democratic Party is.
Oh, yeah.
Do that in a way that's panicked. We want to do it in a way that brings in all the knowledgeable people so that we can have the conversation and that we can come up with a system that works and that doesn't favor one competitor over another. So that's really what we want to do. We don't want to regulate in haste and then regret later.
Oh, of course not. But what should the first part of this regulation really look like now?
Well, I think there are a couple of areas we could tackle. And one, at the SEC, we could provide some greater clarity around when something is a security. And then based on that, what the regulatory framework for entities involved with that, with crypto should be. And then on the legislative side, I think that they can be thinking about how they want pieces of the system to be regulated, including potentially having federal regulation of crypto trading platforms, if that's what they choose. And then we can be working together with the CFTC to think about laying the groundwork for further regulatory action and further legislative action. So those are some immediately doable things.
Doesn't it all?
What are your thoughts on that, Robin? Said, what can we do immediately, right? She said, well, we can start with saying what it's a security, what's not a security, right? This whole how we test thing, it's too much of a gray area when it comes to digital currency.
The Howey test is a test created, in the
30s.
Was it the 30s?
I believe it was in the 1930s.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
At least
wrong.
100 years ago, give or take 10 years, right? 20 years, whatever.
Good thing we have Google.
And it's a test to determine if shares in a company are considered equity, publicly traded stocks. Is it a security?
1946.
1946.
80 years ago, almost.
And it doesn't apply to technology today. I'm sorry. You know, you have a paradigm shift when it comes to the crypto projects. And at onset, before there is utility, before the team kind of takes their hands off the steering wheel, it is centralized and it fits in the basket that the SEC deems a security. But at some point, if the roadmap is fulfilled, tokens or the projects that are used, or the assets that are used in an ecosystem of blockchain, they become decentralized and they lack control. And they lack a company driving the ship. And we're seeing that with Ethereum. I mean, how long did it take for Ethereum's upgrade? It wasn't that somebody was back there with switches and knobs. It was all proposals that had to be passed. I mean, it had to be voted on. And essentially, it was developed slowly, decentralized. And so nobody controls Bitcoin. And even at this point, nobody essentially controls Ethereum. Now, it could be heavily influenced by Vitalik and the Ethereum Foundation.
Hold on. No one controls Ethereum?
They don't.
Robin? They just initiated a... who controlled that?
Did you not listen to anything I just said? So, the proposals can be voted on by miners or by the validators. And from there, they can decide. The same thing could be done. If the validators, aka the miners, wanted to make a fundamental change to Bitcoin, they could. But no person can go and switch Bitcoin from proof of work to proof of stake. It's not able. The same thing happened with Ethereum. Ethereum was not able to be like, Vitalik couldn't just stand up and be like, guys, you know what we're going to do today? We're going to change this thing. And like, no. He had to put the idea out there, be like, look, this is our vision. Can you guys vote on it? These are all the pros. These are all the cons. And then the users themselves decided to take that direction. And
Okay.
yeah.
All right, fair enough.
So anyways, there's a point where something becomes security and then it moves over. And that point, it cannot, the what's it called? The Howey test? The Howey test, it doesn't fit this box. Let's come up with something else, man.
Stop trying to shove it into the box it doesn't fit in. Find a new box to fit it in.
There was a good question from the chat that said, what's the purpose of a decentralization if it's regulated? So,
What's the purpose of decentralization?
Regulation, here's the thing. Regulation, we talk about regulation and the need for regulation when it comes to centralized entities. When it comes to a company like FTX, when it comes to a company like Celsius, Binance, Coinbase,
You can't regulate
whoever it
protocol.
is, like those need to be regulated because there's people in a position of power that can be influenced or that they can take what is perceived as someone else's assets and change it for their own gain. We see this firsthand. And if you're going to operate like a bank, let's go hang out with bank rules, right? You're going to operate like a bank. You're going to take my money and then you're going to go and say you're going to do one thing with it. Like, let me know. Like, somebody needs to oversee this guy. Be like, yo, you're holding billions of dollars worth of people's money. I want somebody to sit here and hold you accountable and to say you're doing what you're doing. Now, that completely different than decentralization. So Bitcoin, if I want to take Bitcoin off of the Bitcoin network, or you're still on the network, but if I want to move my Bitcoin to a cold wallet, to my own personal storage, leave that alone. If I want to move my Ethereum to my MetaMask, cool. I don't need any regulation.
You
for
don't
this.
need to regulate code. You need to regulate
exactly.
people.
You just need to regulate
Does that make
people
sense?
exactly. Well said, bro.
People who have power, they need to be regulated, right?
Yeah.
And there still is regulation now, like I said. They have to go in, they have to apply, they have to get licenses to operate in the US. But a code, you can't regulate a code. A code does what it does. You have one person on this end, one person on that end. End of story. All right, let's get back to Hester. Rocco?
Really come down to making a decision as to whether cryptocurrency is a currency or a security. Securities are held to a different regulatory standard, and there are a lot of very smart people who are looking at what happened with FTX and saying they had a token that they assigned value to. You know, what is the underlying value to many of these 14,000 tokens that are out there, and how can you even look at that and say, oh, well, that's worth this much and that's worth that much?
Well, that's a question certainly for the market to sort through, and so I think we have to let those forces play out. The question of whether something or not is something is a security or not is something that we really could be providing clarity around. I think the approach we've taken so far has been one that hasn't been focused properly, but I'm hopeful that maybe this will help us think more clearly about that. But again, this is a moment also for people who are interested in crypto to remember that crypto is not one thing. You have to look at each asset on its own merits, and that's a determination that people really need to think carefully about. These lessons that we can apply here are the same lessons that we should apply elsewhere when we consider buying assets. Think about.
I think that is such a good point. I'm going to rewind it. That is such a good point.
Here are the same lessons that we should apply elsewhere when that's a determination that people really need to each asset on its own merits, and that's a determination that people really need to think carefully about. These lessons that we,
traditional investing, right? When you invest in the stock market, right? And I dabbled in the stock market. I was trading options. I've owned stock. I bought, sell stocks. They're all the same, right? Some pay dividends, some don't, right? But essentially, it's all the same. You're buying a share of a company, and if that company does well, you do well. Crypto and digital assets are different. It makes you use your brain a little more, right? Polygon does something completely different than Quant does. They have different utilities, so their price moves for different reasons. There's different things that are backing it, right? Each company does something different, right? The utility of the token is used for different things. Some is just used to validate the network. Some is used to stake. Some is used to pay for gas fees. Some have all of them. And so that's the thing, guys, is if you want to invest properly in cryptocurrency, you have to use your brain a little bit, right? It's not just, oh, this company's fundamentals are great. Oh, they made a lot of money last year. Let me invest in their stock. It's the same thing across the board.
Metaspawn says, this lady is cool. What do you think about if Gary Gensler had some inner working knowledge or knowledge on the inner workings of FTX and fraud and did nothing to it? He should be dismissed, right?
Of course he should.
Forced to retire.
Of course he should.
Right.
Guys, if you're not, there's a reason they call her Crypto Mom. Is because
you'd be happy with her filling his seat?
Hell yeah, bro. Hell yes. Like, I can argue that Gary Gensler is the number one reason that we have not gotten clarity in our space.
I still think she's this is good cop, bad cop. Now, I think Gary Gensler. I think it's.
I know why you think that, but
I think it's. I think the entire SEC. Because you know what? She works for the SEC too, and she wasn't ringing the bell on FTX. I'm sure somebody probably came up to her, and she probably pushed it to the back burner.
That's
too.
a fair point.
I just think that the SEC from top to bottom, in the same way that I think FTX from top to bottom. I think if FTX didn't go under, and you were like, oh well, the vice president at FTX, he's a really good guy. And like I think everybody in that entire corporation is corrupt. And I think that everybody in the entire SEC has it all backwards, bro. And she's easy on the thoughts, bro. She's easy on the thoughts. You know what I mean? She makes it seem like she's all into crypto. And I hope that's what it is. I just been burned so many times, man. And when Gary Gensler got in office, he taught a class at MIT about blockchain technology, and
we were all dumb excited.
Everybody was dumb excited. They were like, it was Cointelegraph. Everybody was like, "Yo, crypto new adoptions here. We got a blockchain friendly SEC commissioner." And boy, oh boy, did that one bite us in the butt. Exactly. I do want to say my boy Flavio Axial. He is Portuguese. He's Brazilian. And,
hable portugués.
He said hello. Well, don't say hello here. We say hola with no H, because your boy is Portuguese. Ele fala português também. Mas,
all right.
Não vou fazer
Okay, all right. Rocco, let's get back to Hester here. We're almost done. And then after this, guys, we're going to
falar português, okay?
After this, we're going to take a break from FTX. We're going to talk about Genesis, and we're going to talk a little bit about BlockFi, and we're going to talk about Nayib Bukele. So wait till you're
bullish.
Very bullish.
Nayib is bullish.
We can apply here are the same lessons that we should apply elsewhere when we consider buying assets. Think about what the risks are. Think about whether you can afford to lose the money that you put in, and ask questions. And if you don't get answers, then don't worry about missing out.
Yeah. Like any investment.
Exactly.
One last question here, because that has been the warning and flashing light signs that SEC Chair Gary Gensler has put out. He has obviously been very concerned. He was the one who originally called many of the cryptocurrencies out there and the entire space the Wild West. Charlie Gasparino here at Fox Business had reported that Chair Gensler had a 45-minute Zoom call with the former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried just about a month ago, or several months ago, before he filed for bankruptcy. Given the timing of that, how much discussion is going on right now at the SEC about why that happened? Do you have any insight at all on that?
I can't speak to meetings that Chair Gensler has, but what I can say is that it is important for us to make these decisions about regulatory structure in as open and transparent a method as possible. And so going forward, I hope what we can do is take a step back and have everyone come in and talk to us in a way that maybe at a round table where people can interact with each other. And I think
I don't like this part. I'm sorry. I heard it before from Gensler. Exactly the same thing. I don't know.
Fair enough.
I don't like it.
She's like, I hope we can be more,
More what?
more transparent.
No.
All right. Let's move on from FTX a little bit. Okay. Let's share a little bit of good. Let's share a little bit of good news. All right.
What we got?
Let's share a little bit of good
We
news.
got good news, and
The GOAT.
people want a Portuguese version of the show. Maybe we'll do a members only.
That's on you.
Portuguese,
No.
you know.
I got an idea. I'm gonna put the camera on
Like,
Dave,
I'll be like,
and you're gonna
like, hoje eu vou comprar
just move your lips.
Bitcoin e também
mucho te quería decir, let's move on. Yeah.
No. No, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna mute you. I'm gonna have him talk.
No, you mute him.
and then we can do an Italian version where Rocco does it.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute it right now. Say so.
Milagnino.
Ciao ragazzi, sono io, David. They can hear you. They just talk. Hey, I'm Dave. And then, yes.
You muted me, you piece of shit.
I was dubbing you in Italian.
If you guys, okay.
You were dubbing
My boy
guys-
Ricardo Gil, he also fala Portuguese.
All right, so you know what we are, right? I'm Armenian, Robin's Portuguese, Rocco's Italian. If you guys want to share what ethnicity you are, please go ahead. I think it's pretty cool. If you don't want to, obviously you don't have to. But while you guys are doing that, we're gonna move on to the GOAT of all presidents, Nayib Bukele. We are buying 1 Bitcoin every day starting tomorrow.
That's gangster.
Starting today. Straight OG.
You have a
Love this
nation
man.
state. Let that
Love
sink in.
this man.
Let that sink in. You have a nation state dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin. If that doesn't tell you that it's a time to DCA, I don't know what else does.
That's
All right.
amazing. We have some other good news. If depending on, I guess, where you how you think of Miss Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, I love her.
No, you don't. Now, this has nothing to do with Democrat, Republican,
She
but
always has like those nice little pins on her. Like she wears like little bird ones.
Yeah.
that made it.
that's
full
how she
gold.
signals to her husband what to stock to bet on. So, the whole scandal with her husband and insider information. And guys, it's just time for people like her, whether Republican, Democrat, just like 70, 80-year-olds who have been set in their ways. And this has nothing to do with, ageism or saying people who are older. It's just like we see a trend of these politicians that have been in office for 30, 40, 50 years. They're set in their ways. They have their interests, and they don't want to conform to a new society and a new way of doing everything, including finance and money. And so all I'm saying is, to me,
My friends,
all
no
I'm
matter
saying-
what title you all, my colleagues, have bestowed upon me, speaker, leader, whip, there is no greater official honor for me than to stand on this floor and to speak for the people of San Francisco. This I will continue to do as a member of the House, speaking for the people of San Francisco, serving the great state of California, and defending our Constitution. And with great confidence in our caucus, I will not seek re-election to Democratic leadership in the next Congress. My friends, no matter what title you all,
she's
my
no longer
colleagues, have
seeking
bestowed.
leadership. Get her
Well,
out
you
of
know
there.
what? I'm in the camp that if you are a crypto fan, this is if you're truly passionate about our space, we just took a step back because she is the queen of printing money. She is the antithesis of injecting capital into our system and basically speeding up the whole process of, hey, money sucks, at least here it does in the States, and I need some protection, which is in the form of crypto in our industry. And so, man, she advocated for those checks so hard. And as I had a friend that he rented, he had a couple of houses and he rented his houses out, and he had people because of the eviction moratorium. Now there's two sides of every story. So, I'm not trying to short sell
Do I know this
anybody,
person?
but yeah. But anyways, they had somebody not paying rent for over a year before they could finally evict them. And that the whole time that person was working a job. And this was multiple places. And he just gave me one example. He's like, yo, this dude's going to work every day. His wife goes to work every day. They're not paying rent, and I can't kick him out.
Right.
And he's like, and they just bought a new car. He's like, they got it. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
got to be a slap to your face.
and it's just like,
Hey, look, but here's the thing. But
policy was passed. Policy was passed, and I think and it's not a Democrat Republican thing, because I think if Republicans were in control of office when the pandemic happened, you either going to have a system break or you're going to print money. Like it was coming, but I think they pushed it a little farther than it needed to go. I think Nancy Pelosi, she was at this whole like, no. When the moratorium needs to keep, we need more and more of this. We need more and more checks. We need more and more printing. We need more and more in this. And it was just like, it got to a point where it really destroyed our purchasing power, and we see it in the form of inflation. And so I think no matter what, I think it's good to have a change in government. I think we need a change. So I'm happy to see her step down. So also,
Yes.
can we get some like up in here?
Also, Crypto Stackers is in here. Guys, I know we have a lot of new people in here. If you're not familiar with Crypto Stackers, the man behind the platform, his name is Forrest. He was the former head of research at Token Metrics. He does amazing TA on not just crypto, but on macro. He gives very insightful thoughts. And he comes on our show every single Friday. So you need to come back tomorrow, watch this man break down charts, fundamentals. It's freaking magnificent. So big shout out to our man,
Forrest says, who stole more money, Nancy Pelosi or Sam Bankman-Fried?
Ooh, interesting.
Technically,
I saw both of those.
Technically,
I
the
saw
other
both
one
of
they
those.
never stole it.
I saw both of those. Okay, guys, let's move on to what are we moving on to again? We're moving on to, where did my thing go? Right here. Let's move on to Genesis, okay? So this was huge news, right? And you might not have heard of Genesis, right? And you might say, well, who the hell is Genesis?
Sega Genesis? Sonic the Hedgehog?
No, Genesis Trading. They are the number one Bitcoin trading desk in the space. Founded in 2013. They're the sister company of DCG, which also owns Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. They also own CoinDesk. And they're in real trouble. And this Twitter thread I found from the founder of Blockworks breaks it down so beautifully. I'm going to go over it and then we're going to talk about it. And chat, I want your opinion. I want to know what you guys think. And if you have a point you want to share or a thought or even a conspiracy, whatever the case may be, please share it. And if we pick up on it, then we'll definitely talk about it. So here it is. This is from Jason Yanowitz, again, who is the founder at Blockworks. He said, if this is really the end for Genesis, this could be more impactful than FTX. FTX hurt liquid funds and consumers. Genesis impacts nearly every company in crypto. Let's dig in.
They're going to file for bankruptcy, right?
They're
They're
trying to raise money. Okay. No, this isn't it. They're trying to raise, I think, a few $100 million. So
it's like, where are you going to generate capital from right now in the crypto space? I mean, Binance, I feel like is the only.
That's the thing.
Only.
Right? Who knows? But let's dig in, right?
Yeah.
It again talks about the first Bitcoin OTC. They're now the largest lending desk. Genesis is part of DCG, Barry Silbert's holding company that owns CoinDesk, Foundry, Genesis, Grayscale, and Luno. They also run a huge DC firms. Talks about just how big this company is. In Q4 of last year, they had over 50 billion in loan originations and 12.5 billion in active loans. Big numbers. 3AC happened. They lent 3AC a whopping $2.4 billion, which Genesis filed a $1.2 billion claim against 3AC. DCG did step in and assumed a $1.2 billion claim, right? Leaving Genesis kind of essentially their books free and clear. And so this is the headline here. But then things continued to unravel. Genesis also had large exposure to Babel, which is now under as well. In August, their CEO resigned. And now nearly everyone I know who was at Genesis is no longer there. And then so their numbers started falling drastically by Q3 of this year. And we went over these yesterday. It went from over 12 billion to just under $3 billion in active loan originations. So why is the downfall so bad? Dozens of companies like Gemini use Genesis to help their consumers earn yield. If you're a CeFi platform that offers yield, you probably use Genesis. And on Gemini's terms of service, Genesis is the only approved secondary third-party affiliate that is allowed to that they're allowed to use for their loaning and earn program. So it goes on to talk about that. So here's how it works: you give your crypto to Gemini. Gemini gives your crypto to Genesis. Genesis then lends your crypto. The fund borrows from Genesis at X plus 2%. Genesis gives Gemini 1%, and Gemini gives you the X percent. Voila, now you earn yield. But it only works if the counterparties that Genesis lends that money to can actually repay their borrowing money. If Genesis can't get their crypto back, they can't give the crypto back to Gemini, which in turn means Gemini can't give that back to you. Beyond that, nearly every whale I know that plays in crypto gives money to Genesis. Instead of earning yield on the BlockFis and Geminis, they give direct to Genesis to earn yields. And that is why Genesis halting withdrawals is so bad. They sit at the direct center of crypto capital markets. They custody funds. They help institutionals earn yield. They are the yield product for CeFi platforms. Where do we go from here? Hopefully, DCG has the funds to backstop this. Now, here is where it gets a little murky. DCG, so the whole created by FTX for Genesis was about $180 million. DCG only gave him 140. Ask yourself, why as a parent company, if you're going to, because they bailed him out after 3AC, gave him 1.2 billion. Why on earth would you give 140 and not the full 180? Right? And so there's talks that a lot of money, a lot of assets on DCG's balance sheet is tied up in Grayscale Bitcoin trusts. They have been buying hundreds of almost $1 billion in GBTC shares and trading at a 50, 60% discount. They cannot sell those. They would literally go under.
It's funny. The reason they bought those shares was because they were at a discount. They're like, hey, we can get into Bitcoin. We get exposure. We can buy it at, when it was 30,000, we can buy it at, was it like 35% off at the time?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, hey, $30,000 Bitcoin, we can pick it up for 21,000. But now you're also paying, because you're paying the fees. I guess you could call it custodial fees, something that we're more. There's different terminology for it in the traditional space, but let's just call it custodial fees. You're paying custodial fees to Grayscale, and on top of that, the premium is even more swayed out of the favor of selling. And so now you're sitting on what is, market price, $16,000 Bitcoin. But if you were to sell it, you're probably getting around 10,000. So obviously it's not even on the table at this point, right? Especially if you bought in at 30. And I don't think a lot of y'all realize how integral of a service and how integrated Genesis is when it comes to the entire crypto ecosystem. And so when we discuss the liquidations aren't finished yet, it's coming, right?
But do you see what's going on here? Is DCG, right? They're a $50 billion company. Well, like 10 billion of it is GBTC trust that they can't liquidate, right? Shares. And so when they lend money, they're lending those assets. And so I don't know, man. Like
I'm telling you, DCG, so Digital Currency Group, they are basically the kingpin of crypto. Like they literally have the most Bitcoin in the world. More than the US, more than Michael Saylor,
their sister company does.
It's under their umbrella.
Yeah.
So they literally own the most crypto in the world. Period. And I think they're running out of liquidity.
They are running. I mean, they are running out of liquidity.
They're solvent.
No, they're running out of liquidity.
But they're running out of liquidity.
They cannot.
So they can't bail out.
Yes.
Their smaller companies.
They can't keep propping these up. They did it with 3AC. They've done it with some other ones, and now this. Guys, at some point, you run out of money, especially if you can't raise money.
Especially if a lot of the loans that you lent out are gotten default on.
Yeah, and especially
because of the contagion, so you're down big.
Especially when your assets are getting absolutely destroyed, right? Guys, I am really feeling today's stream. If you are too, smash the like button. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on our content. And let us know if you're new. We'd love to give you a shout out and welcome you to the Sinner community. All right.
And then we also got a few new people. I just want to give some love to the chat. We got Matt K, Cosmic, let's see here. Cosmic Crypto Watch, Alan Cooley, Bit Free Shop, JP, Corsi Pump, 3v3NT. We got Adam D, Drew D. We got El Ligos, the R Factor, Christopher S, Ricardo Gill, D5 Rebels, 24 Baby Bull, Chillgasm, Pong, and the R Factor.
That was better than expected.
It was better than expected?
That was nice.
For all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. You know, I was on somebody else's show, Debate Crypto, and the chat was like, can we get an hola? And both of them were like, people are asking for hola? I'm not sure what that means. And I'm like, no. And they're asking to open up the club. So, yeah. In case you haven't realized, we go into other people's chats and other YouTubers, and we always drop the holas in there. So if you see us in somebody else's chat, make sure you spam hola so that way people know the king is here.
Right.
No, I'm not. You know, I'm just referring to like Elvis. You know, Vegas king.
MJ Monkey, first time here.
Hola. Hola. And Crunk C as well.
All right, guys. I had some more FTX news, but I'm not going to cover that. Robin, let's look at what the markets are doing. Let's take a look at maybe some charts. And we have some news on traditional finance as well.
If there's anything you want us to cover, any thoughts you have as well, throw it in the chat.
Asking about Grayscale, how safe it is now.
Grayscale's fine. Grayscale's fine. They're going to run into liquidity issues or their parent company, DCG.
I'm not sure, and so I'm not going to comment on it, but at what point, with the premium being so low, does that affect them in any way as far as staying solvent? They are a publicly traded company, and their Bitcoin trust is audited by the SEC and regulators. And doesn't Coinbase hold that Bitcoin?
Yeah, and Coinbase is storing it. So as far as a business, as far as their company's, hierarchy, how they're spending money, has nothing to do with the Bitcoin. So it is really no potential for risk or downside risk when it comes to the Bitcoin they're holding. Now, whether or not Grayscale were to go under for some reason, I think the headline news would cause shock and panic and pandemonium, but it wouldn't really do anything to Bitcoin. The Bitcoin is still their property, and even if something were to go wrong with Bitcoin, with Grayscale, they would just simply sell their assets at near market price to a competitor.
What is going to be your headline when Bitcoin goes to 1,000? Buy.
I will literally just sell my car, and
he's not kidding.
And then I will just take the bus for 2 years.
No, honestly,
and just catch Ubers, find somebody that lives.
I feel like Christopher is not really a crypto guy, which is fine. You want some more information, cool. But a lot of comments I'm seeing are kind of against crypto, but it's fine.
It's all good. We'll convert you.
We'll convert you, bro.
We'll get you over here.
We'll get you. All right, Robin, let's take a look at the market.
Yeah, let's take a look. We got Bitcoin coming in at $16,650. Ethereum at that pivotal $1,200 mark. I think it's going to fall underneath that. I'm curious to see where Bitcoin will line up over the weekend. I do think I think it's a real possibility that we could see $15,000 Bitcoin. I know I started the show saying that I don't think we're going to see any giant price movement, but I do think that 15,000 is going to be major support. One, because it is such a big, large psychological number. And I think maybe until the next Fed FOMC meeting where we announce interest rate hikes, I do think we're going to kind of be in a lull in the market. That is all given if another big crypto company, custodial service, or exchange doesn't go under or insolvent or halt trading. Anything outside of that, I think we're just going to kind of consolidate here. We did have a big move from 20,000 down to 16. Which is a giant drop in the percentage. I think that's like 25 or 30%. Taking a look at the biggest gainers in the market today, Hedera, big fan of Hedera. That was 4 weeks ago. We did have Mance Harmon, one of the co-founders of Hedera Hashgraph, on the show. They are a layer one platform that is a little outside of the traditional blockchain. They use a Hashgraph formula, which increases scalability and throughput. And also they're leaning more decentralized.
Hedera?
Yeah. We always talk about, projects being centralized and having control when they first come out, being more reminiscent to a security. Hedera seems to be going through the roadmap and becoming more decentralized. So big fans of Hedera here. If you're a Hedera fan, if you like Hedera, put a 1 in the chat. We'd like to know who here is Who here is bullish on Hedera? We also got Arweave up 5%. Litecoin up 5%.
Okay, Litecoin.
And then some of the biggest losers for the day, you got Synthetics, Decred, and Casper down as well. Casper might be something to...
Now, I want to hone in on Near here, Robin, because we've talked about Near being a great project. Knowing how much money Alameda and FTX invested in Near...
I would, if you're interested in Near...
Would you stay away?
Okay, here's the thing. If you're interested in Near... Do you not agree we're going to be in a bear market for at least a year, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if we're in a bear market for a year, there's a ton of sell pressure, liquidation pressure when it comes to Near protocol tokens. Near did have a press release saying that a lot of that Alameda Research doesn't have a lot of their tokens anymore, and that they're only holding X amount. Don't freak out. But I kind of disagree. I think that there's still a ton of sell pressure that could come down from Alameda Research's liquidation, both forced liquidations and also all of that crypto that left the market. First thing you do with these type of tokens is you exchange them for Ethereum and then try to launder those through a Tumblr service. And so just wait it out, man. We're going to go through a bear market for a while, at least a year. And if you pick up Near Protocol at $2.50 or $3 versus at $1.80, and you pay a little bit more than you do now if you're bullish on it, I think the risk versus reward is more beneficial if you're bullish on the project. I am bullish on Near, just to wait it out, just to see what happens on the shakeout and get in later, because the downside is a lot worse than the upside on Near in the next year. And so I do think that, granted, tons of sell pressure. Who knows how many tokens Alameda Research might have printed of Near or whatever the hell it is.
All right, so stay on that topic. Don't leave, okay? So we talk about Solana is a VC coin, right?
Yeah.
Is that not the sentiment?
Yeah.
I can argue Near is the same thing. And just to be 100% transparent, I've talked about being a fan of Near. We've talked about it on this channel, but
the technology's great. Technology's amazing.
I'm just saying, bro. ICO, 3 funding rounds from VC firms. Dragonfly, FTX, Republic. You had Andreessen Horowitz, 3 Arrows Capital. You had Alameda Research, Andreessen again. And then it looks eerily similar to Solana. Private sale, funding
Here's
round.
the thing. The companies in crypto that are in the spotlight right now that have the most potential for going under is venture capital. And so, who's to say another venture capital company wouldn't go under? I think that's in the likelihood of possibility, not anything too far-fetched. And these are venture capital projects. These are things that venture capital put tons of money into, and if there is insolvency
venture capital
issues
didn't put tons of money into,
and you never know, man. I'm just saying.
No.
All I'm saying is that Solana, Near, both of those projects, if you're fans of them, yes, it might be the cheapest possible. I'm just saying that there is a ton of risk.
0 private sales. Cardano had 0 VC funding. 0. It's right here. None. Just an ICO. That's it.
Yeah. So it's just right now, I just feel like the risk for Near and Solana outweighs the reward. And if you just wait a year, you'll still be in the bear market. Just wait a year. Just make sure nothing new comes out, nothing collapses. No gigantic sell pressure from venture capital that is forced to liquidate. Just give us some time, man. That's all I'm saying. Give us some time. And then just the stocks, kind of flat, less than 1% on these here, 0.5% down. Crypto Fear and Greed Index still dropping at 20, and that's all I got.
So we do have some.
Oh, nice coin! I love that coin.
Which one?
The Donald Trump coin?
No.
Wow, you're a Trumper, bro.
The fourth one.
Let me ask you.
That's 50 pesos.
Yeah,
would you
The most expensive one?
That's beautiful. Man.
Would you spend $28.42 on this Donald Trump coin?
No.
No, because it's a silver round. When you know that only when
I
the
kind of like the
president,
Indian one, the native Indian one.
only when the
Or
president is dead, they
720?
can the mint can make a coin of the president.
Mm.
So the real coin to be official from the mint, the president has to be dead. So these are the silver rounds, which everybody can make it. I mean, you know.
All right, enough about coins. So
Oh, come on.
before
Gold.
we move on, so end of the poll. Are you tired of hearing about SBF? 46% said yes, 34% no, and 18% said let's talk about crypto in general. So we're all about community, guys. So whatever you guys want. Of course, if there's breaking news, we're gonna have to give it to you. But you know, the show's for you guys, right? Doesn't matter what we want to talk about. What matters is what you guys want to hear. Well, it's good for you. All right. So couple things here. First thing is Russia and Cuba are developing a mechanism for the use of crypto for international
What
payments.
I want to know, though, real quick, before you jump in, I don't mean to cut you off. How did we get 375 votes on this poll and we only got 100 something likes? You took the time to answer the poll, but you didn't take the time to hit the like button.
Well, because probably when you no, I know why. Because
Why?
when you jump to a new channel, the first things that pops up is the poll. And then you got to answer to see what is in the chat, and then you can leave, so you don't have to press the.
We should put a poll in there. Did you hit the like button?
Wait, did I? All right. Just don't double hit it because then it'll undo it. So, Rob, Russia and Cuba are developing a mechanism for the use of crypto for international payments. I mean,
It's coming.
Can I make the argument? Can I make the argument that investing in cryptocurrency, right, specifically the payment ones, right, XRP, Bitcoin, XLM. Hold on, wait. Let me ask my question.
Yeah, go. Okay.
Can I make an argument that you are reducing political risk, government risk?
100%. Okay. CBD. We agree. CBDCs are on the way, right? We agree that.
Oh, I mean, we don't have to agree. They're literally doing a pilot.
Yeah.
so
So
they're here.
CBDCs are on the way. They're coming, whether you want them or not. At the same time, we probably both agree that not really interested in using it myself if issued here in the US. And I'd have privacy concerns and control concerns from the US government. Don't you also agree with that, David?
Yeah.
Okay. So, with that said, that out of the way, CBDCs is going to be a game changer in finance outside of the US. It gives people in nation states an opportunity to be a part of the global banking and move money around on a civilian level, on a banking level, institutional level. Remember, it's only these developed countries, you know, the European Union, the US, North America, South America, who's outside of transacting on a global scale is, you know, the country, you know, some countries in Asia, South, and then African countries as well, and Middle Eastern countries. And so, you know, there's people that will have opportunity to be banked through CBDCs. And so I am in the camp that this is good. It is a better alternative than not having a say in the financial world. And I think this technology is going to be game changing. Now, can governments and nation states abuse power when these tokens come out? Yes. And yeah.
Will they? How about
100%,
they will?
Yeah.
I mean, you're giving so much power to the government. Why would they
But
not?
right now, no. Right now, there's a lot of countries where people and corporations and just small businesses just don't have any power. They don't even have money. Like you know, you're just transacting in cash. And due to inflationary issues, monetary issues, dependency on foreign governments and their monetary policies, you know, you have just your average, you know, farmer and everyday worker, somebody that just has a little shop that can never make a name for themselves. They can never get out of poverty because they are just slowly bled to death by the monetary policies of their parent country.
Speaking of slowly bleeding to death, U.S. household debt surged by $350 billion last quarter, bro. The fastest annual increase since 2008. You want to talk about implications in banking and in the traditional financial world? I'm gonna go ahead and say we're gonna see a lot of people default on their credit. We're gonna see a lot of these credit card companies, a lot of these banks get pushed to the brink, and it's gonna come a time where someone is gonna need a bailout. And what's the Fed gonna do? Is the Fed gonna bail them out? If inflation is still high and the money printers are still off and they're still hiking rates, what kind of ripple effect is this going to have? Something to keep an eye on. And a couple of charts I want to take a look at here. So the first one I want to take a look at is BTC. Excuse me. So this is what I was prefacing in the beginning of the show. Robin was like, Bitcoin's not going to move. Bitcoin's going to move, bro. Bitcoin's going to move. And if I have to guess,
You tripping.
Bitcoin's moving to the downside. We are in a bearish pennant pattern here, which is very similar to a bear flag, except we're not seeing a parallel channel. We're seeing a symmetrical triangle, and this typically does break to the downside.
Real quick, just put a 1 in the chat. You think we're going to break to the upside? A 2 in the chat if you think we're going to break to the downside.
My vote
Come
is
Monday,
downside.
Above 16.5 is a 2. Hold on, which one was it? No. 1 bullish, 2 bearish. Come Monday.
First level I'd be looking at settle in is 16.2. Second level I'm looking to settle in is right here, 15.8. And so again, and just to show you an example, guys, ETH on the 1 hour chart did the same thing, right? Bearish pennant / symmetrical triangle, and this thing broke to the downside. It broke to the downside and did exactly what we expected it to do. Broke underneath, retested, got denied, is trying to retest again, got denied again. And so this thing is moving to the downside too. And so the levels for ETH I'm looking at, the immediate level is a retest of this 1185.
A lot of 2s, a lot of bearish sentiment.
And the level after that I'll be looking at, I can argue, right? 1167. I can argue 1146. And worst case scenario, we can see a sub $1,100 ETH. So, but with Bitcoin and ETH, and of course, none of this is financial advice. With Bitcoin and ETH, you're taking less risk than you would trading in anything outside of them, right? So, Into the Cosmos did mention the Dixie. If you're not familiar with the Dixie, it's the dollar index. Measures the dollar strength against a basket of foreign currencies, including the yen, the yuan, the euro. And so this was in a bullish pattern. It actually broke the opposite way, which is great. So I'm going to remove these drawings.
And we also had a lot of H-bar fans too, by the way.
Yeah, love H-bar. And so looks like this thing is consolidating. Let's throw the Ichimoku on here, see where the trend is going. So trend is currently negative, right? Trend is negative. We're sitting below the cloud. So the first level of resistance we're going to see is at $109.6 mark. We'll see what happens. The FOMC meeting data did come out. CPI headline is going down. Year over year is going down.
PPI came out this week too.
PPI is down.
The producer price index.
Yeah, that's down.
Is the wholesale price.
Yeah. So we'll see, but we'll definitely keep an eye on it.
Also, I want to give a shout out to some of the new people as well. We have iFrainer R, Mickey Mao, Charles N. We got Nate Quantum.
You say Mickey Mouse?
And then we got Cody M, Gail K, LC204. We got Satya, and we got Bluff City and Adam Buzzard. Hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
All right. Someone said check the 4 hour. 4 hour one. The Dixie or the
You
want me to check?
In general, 4 hour chart instead of 1 hour.
No. You want the 4 hour on Bitcoin or you want the 4 hour on
Ari Dango said 1 for bullish. He said 1 up with the mushroom from Mario. Very clever there. Did you know the new Call of Duty came out?
Yeah, same pattern on the 4 hour for Bitcoin. It's the exact same pattern. It's a bearish pennant.
Dude,
right?
I played the new Call of Duty. I sucked at it. But I only played like 2 games.
What happened to you? 500 kills.
But yeah, it's because it's a new game. I haven't had time to practice. I've been over here doing crypto research. Sam Bateman-Fried threw a wrench in the whole system. I was going to take a week off just to play Call of Duty.
Same thing. The trend is negative, guys. The trend. If we do break to the upside, we're not breaking past 18.4. I'll tell you that. So and you got the cloud right here. So we should, if it does move, we're gonna get some we're gonna get a little bit of a rejection at 16.7 unless we blow right by, and then you're looking at 18.6 is where we stop at. But this is the 4 hour, right? Same thing. If I do this and take this off, same thing. A bearish pennant, right?